Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English Podcast for Life. My name is David.
And I'm Sarah. We're so glad you've joined us today. And today we have a fun theme, one that everyone can relate to.
Yes, today we're talking about hobbies.
Hobbies are activities we do in our free time, for fun, relaxation, or just because we love them.
And hobbies are a great topic for English learners because they're so universal. Everyone has at least one hobby or interest they enjoy.
Right. And hobbies are also a very common topic in small talk. When you meet new people, when you introduce yourself, or even when you're practicing English with a friend, people often ask, "So, what are your hobbies?"
Exactly. It's a great way to start a friendly conversation. So, Sarah, let's start with you. What are some of your hobbies?
Good question. I have a few. One of my biggest hobbies is reading. I absolutely love reading books.
Oh, nice. What kinds of books do you usually read?
Mostly novels, fiction. I enjoy stories that take me to another world, or stories that make me think about life in a new way. But I also like biographies, which are books about people's lives.
Biographies are great. I also enjoy reading, but I think my biggest hobby is playing the guitar.
Oh, that's wonderful. How long have you been playing?
Since I was a teenager, I'm not a professional or anything, but I play for fun. Sometimes I play songs I know, and sometimes I just make up my own little tunes.
That's really cool. Music is such a powerful hobby because it connects with emotions.
Absolutely. And the great thing about hobbies is that they don't have to be serious. You don't have to be the best in the world at them. The point is simply to enjoy yourself.
Exactly. A hobby is something that brings joy, not stress.
So maybe we should talk a little about why hobbies are important. Why do you think people need hobbies, Sarah?
Well, life can be very busy. We work, we study, we have responsibilities. If we only do things we have to do, life becomes stressful. Hobbies give us a chance to relax and to express ourselves.
Yes, hobbies are a way to recharge our energy. When we spend time on something we love, we feel more balanced.
And hobbies can also keep our minds and bodies healthy. For example, if your hobby is sports, you're exercising and staying fit.
Right. Or if your hobby is reading or learning languages, you're exercising your brain.
And don't forget, hobbies can also connect people. When you share a hobby with someone, you often make new friends.
Exactly. That's why hobbies are such a good topic for conversation in English.
Before we go further, let's highlight some useful words we've already used.
Good idea.
We said the word hobby. A hobby is an activity you do regularly for pleasure, not for work.
We also said biography. That's a book about someone's life.
And tune, when David talked about making up his own tunes on the guitar, a tune means a simple melody or piece of music.
Perfect. And another word was relaxation, the act of resting and becoming less stressed.
Great. These are all words you can use when talking about your hobbies in English.
Okay, so we've talked a little about our personal hobbies, but let's explore different kinds of hobbies that people around the world enjoy.
Yes, let's break them into categories. First, there are creative hobbies.
Like painting, drawing, writing stories, playing music, or even photography.
Exactly. Creative hobbies allow people to express their imagination.
Then there are active hobbies, which are usually physical, like running, swimming, cycling, hiking, or playing basketball.
Yes, active hobbies are great for fitness and health.
Another type is collecting hobbies. Some people love collecting things. Stamps, coins, comic books, even sneakers.
Right. Collecting can be very satisfying. You feel proud when your collection grows.
Then we have social hobbies, like dancing, playing board games, or joining clubs.
And don't forget learning hobbies. Many people enjoy learning languages, cooking new recipes, or studying history just for fun.
Yes, in fact, learning English can be a hobby in itself.
Absolutely.
Let's go back to reading for a moment. You said reading is one of your main hobbies. Why do you love it so much?
Well, for me, reading is like traveling without leaving my home. When I read a novel, I can imagine new places, meet different characters, and experience adventures.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Thank you. And reading also improves my vocabulary and helps me think in new ways. Sometimes a book gives me ideas I never had before.
Do you prefer physical books or ebooks?
Good question. I still prefer physical books. The feeling of holding the book, turning the pages, even the smell of paper. But I also use ebooks when I travel because they're lighter and easier to carry.
I agree. I like physical books too, but with ebooks, you can have hundreds of books in one device.
True. And you, David, tell me more about your guitar playing.
Well, I usually play in the evenings after work. It helps me relax. Sometimes I learn songs from YouTube tutorials. Other times I just play whatever comes to mind.
Do you play alone, or do you sometimes play with other people?
Mostly alone, but sometimes when I meet friends who also play instruments, we jam together.
Jam, that's a good word to explain.
Yes, in music, to jam means to play instruments together in an informal way, usually without much planning.
That sounds fun.
It really is. And for me, music is a way to express emotions without words.
Beautiful.
Okay, we've talked about reading and music, two very common hobbies. After a short break, let's talk about hobbies that involve the body, sports and physical activities.
Great idea. Because for many people, hobbies are not just about the mind, but also about movement and health.
So Sarah, let's talk about hobbies that keep us active. Do you have any hobbies related to sports or exercise?
Yes, I do. I really enjoy yoga. I started practicing yoga a few years ago, and now it's something I do several times a week.
Oh, that's great. What do you like most about it?
Well, yoga is not just about stretching or fitness. It's also about breathing, relaxation, and balance. After a yoga session, I feel calm and centered.
That makes sense. I've tried yoga a couple of times, but my main physical hobby is cycling.
Do you ride on the road, or do you go mountain biking?
Mostly road cycling. I like to go out on weekends, especially when the weather is nice. It's a great way to explore new areas and also get some fresh air.
That sounds wonderful. And it's good for your health, too.
Definitely. I always feel refreshed after a long bike ride.
You know, sports hobbies can also be social. For example, people who play football, basketball, or tennis often meet friends and form teams.
True. And playing sports together builds teamwork and communication skills.
Exactly. And even if you're not a professional athlete, just playing with friends can be a lot of fun.
I remember when I used to play basketball every Friday evening with some colleagues. It wasn't about winning. It was about laughing, moving, and spending time together.
That's the beauty of hobbies. They connect people. Let's quickly review some useful words here.
We mentioned yoga, a practice that combines physical postures, breathing exercises, and meditation.
Then there's cycling, which means riding a bicycle, either for sport, travel, or exercise.
I also said refreshed, when you feel full of new energy after rest or exercise.
And don't forget the word centered, when you feel calm, balanced, and in control of your emotions.
Now, let's move from physical hobbies to something many people around the world love, cooking.
Yes, cooking is such a popular hobby. Do you enjoy cooking, David?
I do, actually. I'm not a professional chef, but I enjoy trying new recipes. I like cooking pasta dishes, soups, and sometimes even baking bread.
That's impressive. Baking bread takes patience.
True, but the smell of fresh bread in the kitchen is worth it.
Absolutely. For me, cooking is also a creative hobby. You can experiment with flavors, try different spices, and make something delicious.
And it's practical too. Unlike some hobbies, cooking gives you food you can eat right away.
That's right. And cooking can also bring families together. For example, some people cook traditional meals on holidays or weekends, and it becomes a family activity.
Yes, food is such an important part of culture. Cooking as a hobby can help you connect to your heritage or discover other cultures.
For example, someone might learn how to make sushi, pizza, or curry, and by doing so, They learn more about Japanese, Italian, or Indian culture.
Speaking of other cultures, another very common hobby is traveling.
Oh, yes. Many people dream of visiting new countries, seeing famous landmarks, and trying local food.
Do you enjoy traveling, Sarah?
I love it. Traveling opens your mind. You meet new people, hear new languages, and experience life in a different way.
I agree. For me, one of the best things about traveling is tasting different foods. Every country has its own flavors and traditions.
Same here. And also the landscapes. For example, when I went to the mountains last year, I was amazed by the beauty of nature.
Traveling can also be a hobby on different levels. Some people travel internationally, but others enjoy exploring their own city or country.
Right. You don't always need a passport to enjoy travel as a hobby. Sometimes a simple weekend trip to a nearby town feels like an adventure.
Very true.
Let's look at some travel vocabulary we just used.
Good idea. First, landmark, a famous or important place, like the Eiffel Tower in Paris or the Great Wall of China.
Then we said landscape. That means the view or scenery, such as mountains, rivers, or forests.
And the phrase opens your mind, it means to make you more understanding and accepting of new ideas.
Perfect.
Another interesting hobby is gardening. Do you know anyone who loves gardening?
Yes, my neighbor spends hours in her garden. She grows flowers, vegetables, and herbs.
That sounds wonderful. Gardening can be very relaxing.
Yes, people often say it's like therapy. When you take care of plants, you feel more connected to nature.
And there's a reward too. If you grow vegetables or fruit, you can eat them.
Exactly. Imagine cooking a meal with tomatoes or herbs that you grew yourself. That must feel amazing.
I've tried growing some herbs in small pots on my balcony. It's simple, but it feels nice to use fresh basil in pasta.
Lovely. Gardening is also good for patience. Plants take time to grow, so you learn to wait and enjoy the process. On the other hand, some hobbies are more modern, like those related to technology.
Yes, for example, video games. Many people around the world enjoy gaming as a hobby.
Definitely. Video games can be fun, challenging, and even social. People play online with friends from different countries.
Another tech hobby is photography, especially with smartphones. Nowadays, almost everyone has a camera in their pocket.
True. And some people take it seriously, learning about lighting, editing, and composition.
There's also blogging or making videos for YouTube. Some people start as a hobby and then turn it into a career.
Yes, but even if it stays a hobby, it can be a creative and enjoyable way to share your interests.
So far, we've covered hobbies related to sports, cooking, travel, gardening, and technology.
And we're starting to see a pattern. Hobbies are not just activities. They're ways to express ourselves, to connect with others, and to enjoy life.
Exactly. After a short break, let's talk about how to talk about hobbies in English conversations, and we'll share some useful phrases.
That sounds perfect.
So, Sarah, we've talked a lot about different hobbies. Now, let's focus on something really practical for our listeners: how to talk about hobbies in English.
Yes, because it's one thing to have a hobby, but another to explain it clearly when you're speaking English.
Right. So let's start with a very common question people ask. What are your hobbies? Or, what do you like to do in your free time?
And the simplest way to answer is to use the phrase, I like or I enjoy.
For example, I like playing the guitar. Or, I enjoy reading novels.
Exactly. Notice that after like or enjoy, we usually use the ing form of the verb. Playing, reading, cooking, swimming.
Yes, so you wouldn't say, I like play guitar. You should say, I like playing the guitar.
That's a very important grammar point for learners.
Another tip is not to stop with just one sentence. If someone asks you about your hobbies, try to add more detail.
Yes. For example, instead of only saying, I like reading, You can say, I like reading, especially historical novels, because I enjoy learning about the past.
That sounds much more interesting.
Or you can say, I enjoy playing football with my friends on weekends. It's a good way to exercise and have fun.
So the structure is I like plus activity, and then explain why or when you do it.
Let's share some useful phrases.
Okay, here are some simple ones. In my free time, I like to. One of my favorite hobbies is. I spend a lot of time. I'm really into. This means I like something a lot.
Good examples. Let's try them in sentences.
Sure. In my free time, I like to go hiking in the mountains.
One of my favorite hobbies is painting watercolors.
I spend a lot of time listening to podcasts and learning new things.
I'm really into photography these days. I love capturing sunsets.
Perfect.
Now, if you want to ask someone about their hobbies, there are also some easy questions.
For example, what do you usually do in your free time? Do you have any hobbies? What are you interested in? How do you usually spend your weekends?
Those are great. And remember, hobbies are a friendly topic, so it's a safe way to start a conversation in English.
Let's highlight a couple of useful expressions.
We said, I usually practice a few times a week. The phrase, a few times a week, is a good way to talk about frequency.
We also said, I jam with friends. Remember, in music, jam means to play music together, casually.
And I'm still learning is a humble way to say you're not perfect yet, but you're improving.
Another good tip for learners is to talk about how your hobby makes you feel.
Yes. For example, you can say, cooking makes me feel creative. Running helps me clear my mind. Painting relaxes me. Reading inspires me.
That's a great way to make your answer more personal and emotional.
And it also helps people understand why you love your hobby.
Maybe we should also mention some common mistakes learners make when talking about hobbies.
Good idea. One mistake is using the wrong verb form. For example, saying, I like play football. The correct way is, I like playing football.
Another mistake is forgetting to use articles. For example, people sometimes say, I play guitar. In English, it's better to say, I play the guitar.
Yes, especially with instruments. We usually use the piano, the violin, the drums.
Good point.
So now our listeners know not only different types of hobbies, but also how to talk about them in English with the right words and phrases.
Yes, and that makes conversations much more natural. So Sarah, we've talked about hobbies as something fun and relaxing. But sometimes hobbies grow into something bigger, right?
Absolutely. A hobby can sometimes become a passion, a career, or even a lifestyle.
Right. For example, many professional musicians started by simply playing as a hobby.
Exactly. Or chefs. Many chefs first enjoyed cooking at home before they decided to study and make it their career.
And even athletes. A child might play football as a hobby, and with practice and dedication, they might one day play professionally.
True. Of course, not every hobby needs to become a career, but it shows how hobbies can open doors to new opportunities.
Let's define the difference between a hobby and a passion.
Good idea. A hobby is something you do for fun in your free time. A passion is something you love so much that it becomes a very important part of your life.
Yes. For example, I might say, playing guitar is my hobby. But if I spend hours every day practicing, performing, and studying music, then I could say, music is my passion.
Well explained. A passion usually involves a deeper emotional connection.
And sometimes a passion can lead to a career.
Let's look at a few examples of hobbies that can become careers.
Sure. Cooking. Hobby cooks can become chefs.
Photography. Hobby photographers can become professionals, taking pictures for magazines, weddings, or companies.
Writing. People who write stories, poems, or blogs as a hobby can publish books or work as journalists.
Sports. Someone who loves running might become a coach or a personal trainer.
And languages. People who learn languages as a hobby sometimes become translators, teachers, or tour guides.
Exactly. But it's important to remember that not every hobby needs to make money. Sometimes the beauty of a hobby is that it's just for personal joy.
That's a good point. And sometimes hobbies grow into lifestyles.
Yes, for example, someone who enjoys hiking as a hobby might start traveling every year to climb different mountains. Hiking becomes part of who they are.
Or someone who loves yoga may decide to live in a way that's more focused on health, meditation, and mindfulness.
Right. Hobbies can shape our identity and our daily choices.
Let's highlight a few key words.
We said career, that means your professional life, the job or jobs you do over time.
Then we use the word passion, something you love deeply, often more than just a casual interest.
And lifestyle, the way a person lives, including habits, choices, and daily activities. Let me ask you, David, has any of your hobbies ever become more than just a hobby?
Yes. My guitar playing is still a hobby, but years ago, I started teaching a few guitar lessons to beginners. It wasn't a full-time career, but it showed me that my hobby could also help other people.
That's wonderful. Teaching is such a rewarding experience.
It really was. How about you, Sarah?
For me, I think reading has led me to writing. At first, I was just a reader, but then I started writing short articles, and eventually I even contributed to an online magazine.
That's amazing. So your hobby of reading gave you the inspiration to write.
Yes, exactly.
But here's a question. When a hobby becomes a career, does it still feel like a hobby?
Interesting question. Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
What do you mean?
Well, when you turn your hobby into your job, it can bring both joy and pressure. For example, if you love painting and then you start selling your paintings, suddenly there's a deadline or a customer's opinion, and it may feel stressful.
True. The pressure of money and responsibility can change the feeling.
But for some people, doing what they love as a career is the best thing in the world.
I guess it depends on the person. Some people prefer to keep their hobbies separate from work, so that hobbies always stay fun and stress-free.
Exactly.
For our listeners, the important thing is, whatever your hobby is, enjoy it. Whether it stays a hobby or grows into something bigger, it should make your life better.
Well said. And also, don't be shy about talking about your hobbies in English. It's a wonderful way to share your personality with others.
Yes, your hobbies are part of your story.
So, we've looked at hobbies as fun, as passions, as careers, and even lifestyles.
After a short break, let's talk about how hobbies can be different in various cultures around the world, because what people enjoy in one country may be very different in another.
Oh, that's going to be interesting.
So, Sarah, we said we'd explore how hobbies can be different in various cultures. I find this topic really fascinating.
Me too, because hobbies are not only personal, they're also cultural. What people enjoy often depends on traditions, environment, and lifestyle in their country.
Exactly. For example, in some countries, gardening is a very popular hobby. People take pride in their gardens and even compete in flower shows.
Yes, like in England. Gardening is almost part of the national identity there.
Right. But in other countries, where people live in apartments in big cities, gardening may not be as common. Instead, people might focus on indoor hobbies like board games or video games.
Let's think about outdoor hobbies first. In countries with beautiful mountains, hiking is extremely popular.
Yes, like Switzerland, Nepal, or Canada. People there grow up surrounded by mountains. So hiking and skiing become natural hobbies.
On the other hand, in countries with long coastlines, water sports are more popular, like surfing in Australia, sailing in Greece, or diving in Thailand.
That makes sense. The environment influences hobbies.
Some hobbies are connected to culture and tradition. For example, in Japan, people practice ikebana, the art of flower arrangement, or origami, folding paper into beautiful shapes.
Yes, and in China, many people enjoy Tai Chi, a slow, graceful exercise that's good for balance and health.
In Latin American countries, dancing is often a favorite hobby. Salsa, tango, samba. These dances are not only hobbies, but also cultural expressions.
I love that. Dance is a perfect example of a hobby that's also tradition.
Nowadays, of course, many hobbies are global. Thanks to the internet, people everywhere play video games, watch movies, or share photos online.
True. Gaming, photography, or even social media can be hobbies that people all over the world enjoy.
But even with global hobbies, the style can be different. For example, cooking as a hobby looks different in every culture. Italian cooking, Indian cooking, Mexican cooking.
Absolutely. Food is such a rich area for hobbies because every culture has unique flavors.
Let's highlight some new words.
We said ikebana, which is the Japanese art of arranging flowers.
And origami, the Japanese art of folding paper into shapes like animals or flowers.
Then we mentioned Tai Chi, a traditional Chinese form of gentle exercise.
And of course, salsa, tango, samba, different styles of dance from Latin America.
Have you ever tried a hobby from another culture, Sarah?
Yes, I once took a salsa dancing class. At first, it was very difficult, but it was so much fun. The music is full of energy.
That sounds amazing. I once tried origami when I was younger. I remember folding paper cranes. It was a bit tricky, but very satisfying when the shape finally appeared.
That's wonderful. These experiences show how hobbies can connect us to other cultures.
And travel often inspires people to try new hobbies. For example, someone might travel to Japan, learn about tea ceremonies, and then bring that hobby home.
Or someone might visit Italy, taste delicious pasta, and then start cooking Italian dishes as a hobby.
Exactly. Travel and hobbies are very connected.
Another interesting thing is that the internet creates global communities around hobbies.
Yes. For example, if you like photography, you can join an online forum and share your photos with people from every continent.
Or if you like knitting or sewing, you can join international group, exchange patterns, and get inspiration.
That's one of the beautiful things about the modern world. Hobbies bring people together even if they are thousands of kilometers apart.
We mentioned forum. That's an online space where people discuss a shared interest.
And pattern, in sewing or knitting, a pattern is a set of instructions or a design you can follow.
Great.
One more thing about hobbies and culture. The time people have for hobbies also depends on culture.
Yes. In some countries, people work very long hours, so they may have less free time for hobbies.
True. In other cultures, free time and leisure are very important, so hobbies are a big part of daily life.
For example, in many European countries, people value weekends and evenings for personal activities and family hobbies.
Yes, and in some Asian cities, people might focus more on study and work, so hobbies might be smaller or done less often.
But in every culture, people try to find something they enjoy.
So we've seen how hobbies are influenced by culture, geography, and tradition.
Yes, and also how modern technology connects hobbies around the world.
After a short break, let's talk about how hobbies can improve not just our happiness, but also our skills, communication skills, problem-solving skills, creativity, and even language learning.
Oh, that's going to be very useful for our listeners.
So Sarah, we've talked about hobbies for fun, for relaxation, for culture, but there's another side. Hobbies can actually help us grow as people.
That's right. Hobbies are not only enjoyable, they also teach us skills that are useful in life, work, and learning.
For example, music as a hobby improves concentration and discipline.
Yes, and sports hobbies improve teamwork, coordination, and perseverance.
Cooking teaches patience, organization, and creativity.
Reading builds vocabulary, imagination, and empathy, the ability to understand other people's feelings.
And language learning, of course, improves communication and connects you to new cultures.
Some hobbies are great for problem solving. For instance, puzzles, chess, or even video games can help you think strategically.
True. When you play chess, you plan ahead. When you play video games, you often solve challenges. Those skills transfer to real life.
Creative hobbies like painting, writing, or photography give people an outlet for expression. They help you show what's inside your mind or heart.
Yes, and creativity is not just for artists, it's useful for everyone, even in jobs like business or science.
Exactly. Thinking creatively helps you find new solutions.
Another benefit of hobbies is stress relief.
Definitely. When life feels heavy, doing something you enjoy can calm your mind.
I've read that people who have hobbies often feel happier and less anxious.
Yes, because hobbies give you a break from daily problems. They're like a mental holiday.
Hobbies can also strengthen relationships.
That's true. When you share a hobby with a friend, partner, or family member, you spend quality time together.
For example, cooking dinner together, playing a sport as a team, or even watching movies as a hobby can build connection.
And hobbies can also introduce you to new friends. Joining a club or class is a great way to meet people with the same interests.
Let's review some useful words here.
We said perseverance. That means not giving up, even when something is difficult.
We also used empathy, the ability to understand and share another person's feelings.
And outlet, a way to express or release energy, feelings, or creativity.
Perfect.
Before we finish, let's give a message directly to our listeners who are learning English.
Great idea.
Remember, learning English itself can be your hobby. You don't need to treat it only as study or work.
Yes, if you watch English movies for fun, that's both a hobby and language practice.
If you read English books, listen to English podcasts, or write a journal in English, you're combining a hobby with learning.
And when you talk about your hobbies in English, you're not only sharing about yourself, but also practicing real communication.
So, David, after this long conversation, what's your final thought about hobbies?
My final thought is simple. Hobbies make life richer. They give us joy, skills, and connections. Without hobbies, life would feel a little empty.
I agree. Hobbies remind us that life is not only about work and responsibilities. It's also about play, learning, and discovery.
Well said.
And with that, we'll bring this episode to a close.
Thank you so much for listening to English Podcast for Life.
We hope our discussion about hobbies has given you new ideas, useful English phrases, and maybe even inspiration to try a new hobby yourself.
Remember, no matter what your hobby is, big or small, it's valuable if it makes you happy.
Exactly. See you next time.